New at 4, and just in the last few hours, Deundrea Holloway got 30 years in prison for killing a Metro East woman and another 30 years for the death of her unborn child. The victim was Liese Dodd. Deundrea Holloway was her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend rather, beheading her and put her head in an Alton dumpster. Holloway and Dodd had been dating on and off for 2 years. Her mother is who uncovered this brutal death. She told the killer in court today that her family has been punished by his actions.
Pay close attention to this footage, because nothing about it looks dangerous until you know what happens next. It's just before midnight on June 8th, 2022, in Alton, Illinois. The CCTV timestamp in the corner ticks forward as the day quietly turns into June 9th. The street is empty. No cars pass. No voices carry through the air. Porch lights glow faintly, and most of the houses are dark, their occupants already asleep. Then, at 11:57 p.m., a man steps into frame. He's walking alone down the sidewalk at a calm, steady pace. He isn't rushing. He isn't looking over his shoulder. If you saw him on the street, you wouldn't give him a second glance. He looks like someone finishing a normal night and heading home. But look at what he's carrying. In both hands, held close to his chest, is a white plastic laundry basket. It's the kind you'd expect to see in a bedroom or laundry room. Nothing unusual about it, except that it appears full. Heavy enough that he's careful with every step, making sure it doesn't tip. The street remains silent. No neighbors step outside. No one notices him as he passes parked cars and moves toward a small smoke shop nearby. He disappears briefly from the camera's view, moving behind the building. At this moment, there is no alarm. No one watching this footage live would have stopped it. No one would have called the police. Nothing about this scene suggests a crime. But what you're looking at is not an innocent walk. Inside that laundry basket is something that will soon turn this quiet street into the center of one of the most horrifying crimes Alton has ever seen. And by the next morning, someone will find it. The morning of June 9th, 2022, begins like any other. A construction worker arrives at a nearby job site just after sunrise. There's renovation work happening along the street, and a large red dumpster has been placed near the curb to collect debris. Drywall, insulation, broken materials. It's already half full when he starts his shift. Nothing feels unusual. As he clears debris and tosses it into the dumpster, he notices something out of place. At first, it's just clothing, not construction gear. Not rags. Actual clothes, shirts, pants, mixed in with the drywall. He pauses, confused but not alarmed. People throw away strange things all the time. Then he sees the shoes. They're small, slipper-like, red, and they're stained. The color catches his eye immediately. Dark, rusty, dried in places. He knows what it is the second he sees it. Blood. As he looks closer, his confusion turns into fear. There's more clothing than makes sense. Multiple laundry baskets. Women's clothing. Men's clothing. Items tossed in without care, as if someone was in a hurry, panicked, even. Then he sees the knife.
This is what the knife looked like. Down like that.
Okay.
That short, with teeth on that mother.
So like a paring knife?
Like with teeth on it, like you cut meat.
Like serrated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. That's what the knife looked like. Just
Was
like
the handle longer than the blade, or was the...
No, it was short, about like this.
About...
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that long.
And when you picked up the knife, did you pick it up by the blade? Did you pick it up by the handle?
Picked it up by the blade. I mean by the handle.
By the handle?
Through that mother.
I got you.
Oh shit, blood on it. That.
Was the blood on the handle? Was it on the blade? Was it covered in it?
Well,
was
I
it
dripping? It was on the blade.
It was on the blade?
Yeah.
Short, serrated, the kind you might keep in a kitchen drawer. When later asked to describe it, he struggles for words. He remembers the teeth on the blade. He remembers the blood on the handle. He remembers knowing, instantly, that this was not garbage. This was evidence. Whatever had happened here was violent, and whoever put these items in the dumpster didn't want them found. The worker backs away. He doesn't want to touch anything. He doesn't want to be responsible for disturbing the scene. The normal rhythm of his workday disappears, replaced by a single chilling realization. Someone nearby is either seriously hurt or already dead. And only hours after that laundry basket was carried through night, Its contents have been discovered. By early afternoon that same day, June 9th, fear has taken hold somewhere else in Alton. Heidi Noel hasn't heard from her daughter. Liese Dodd is 22 years old. She's 8 months pregnant. She always answers her phone. The last time Heidi heard from her was the night before, more than 15 hours ago. Calls go unanswered. Text messages remain unread. Something feels wrong. Just after 1 p.m., Heidi arrives at Liese's apartment. The building is quiet as she walks inside, her worry growing heavier with every step. She has a key. When she opens the door, everything changes. Within 2 minutes, neighbors begin opening their doors, drawn by sounds they don't yet understand. Heidi steps back outside, shaking so badly she can barely stand.
911 with the address of...
Yeah. Hi. Listen.
What's going on
My
there?
girlfriend's daughter is killed. Yeah.
What's going on there?
My daughter's... He chopped her head off.
Her face is pale. Her hands tremble. No one needs to ask what she saw. When she calls 911, her voice is fractured, confused, panicked, overwhelmed. She struggles to form sentences, correcting herself as the dispatcher asks what's happening. "My daughter's been killed," she says. Then, through sobs, the words that stop the call cold. My daughter's chopped her head off." The dispatcher tries to clarify. Heidi can barely process what she's saying. She isn't just reporting a murder. She's trying to understand something no parent should ever have to comprehend. Police are dispatched immediately. As officers rush toward the apartment, the CCTV footage from the night before and the items found in the dumpster that morning begin to form a single horrifying picture, one that will reveal exactly what happened inside that apartment just hours earlier. Police officers arrive at the apartment building just after 12:59 p.m. on June 9th, 2022. Several units respond, lights flashing briefly before being shut off out of respect for the residential area. By the time they step out of their vehicles, Heidi Noel is sitting on the front steps, crying uncontrollably, barely able to speak. An officer approaches her carefully, asking simple questions. Does she have a key? Can she let them inside? Heidi hands over the access code to the building, her hands shaking so badly that another officer has to steady her. She doesn't need to explain much. Her face already tells them this is not a routine welfare check. The officers enter the building and move up the stairs toward the second floor. Liese Dodd's apartment door is unlocked. That detail alone immediately raises concern. Inside, the apartment is quiet. Too quiet. There are no signs of a struggle in the main living area. No overturned furniture. No broken glass. Everything looks disturbingly normal. They move slowly down the hallway toward the bedroom. Police are trained for moments like this, but that doesn't make them easier. Each step forward feels heavier than the last. One officer pauses at the bedroom doorway before entering, scanning the room carefully. That's when they see her. Liese Dodd's body is lying on the bed. She is fully clothed. At first glance, it almost looks as if she's sleeping. A towel is wrapped around her head, folded neatly, like a turban. For a brief moment, one officer wonders if it's meant to cover an injury. Then they realize why it's there. Beneath the towel, her head is gone. The room falls silent as the realization settles in. This is not just a homicide. This is something far more violent, far more deliberate.
Decapitated.
To have to lose a child that way, and that baby is an extension of her mother and the rest of her family, so they lost a child as well. They lost two.
Peaceful Street has become a crime scene. A young woman, pregnant, with her entire future ahead of her, has been brutally murdered in her own home. And this is only the beginning. Before she became the center of a homicide investigation, Liese Dodd was just a young woman living her life. She was born on August 14, 1999, in Alton, Illinois. From an early age, her family remembers her as gentle, kind, and deeply empathetic, especially toward animals. When Liese turned 10, instead of asking for birthday gifts, she organized a fundraiser for a local no-kill animal shelter. That wasn't something she was encouraged to do. It was simply who she was. She carried that compassion with her as she grew up. Liese attended Jersey Community High School, where she was known as friendly and warm, someone who made people feel comfortable around her. She wasn't loud or attention-seeking. She was the kind of person who listened, who remembered small details, who cared. After graduating in 2017, Liese started working at Dairy Queen. Customers remember her not just for her smile, but for how genuinely kind she was. Co-workers describe her as dependable, soft-spoken, and hardworking. She wasn't just working to get by. She had plans. Liese wanted to go into the medical field. Inspired by her mother, she talked about helping people, about building a stable future. She was saving money, thinking ahead, trying to create something better for herself. By June 2022, Liese was 8 months pregnant. She was expecting a baby girl. Her family had already sent out invitations for a baby shower. They were gathering clothes, baby items, small things that represented a future just weeks away. Liese hadn't settled on a name yet, so everyone called the baby Baby Bean. She talked about her daughter constantly. She imagined holding her, raising her, protecting her. Those who knew Liese motherhood seemed to soften her even more. She worried about doing everything right. She wanted to be better, stronger, safer for her child. She was not perfect. She had struggles, but she was trying. And that's what makes what happened next so devastating. Liese Dodd wasn't a headline. She wasn't a statistic. She was a daughter, a co-worker, a friend, and a mother who never got the chance to meet her child. And in the next hours, investigators will begin uncovering how someone she trusted became the person who destroyed everything she was building. By the time Liese Dodd was murdered, the people closest to her weren't shocked that something had gone wrong. They were terrified that it finally had. Liese had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with a man named Deundrea Holloway, a fellow Illinois native her own age. They had been together for nearly 2 years, but together was never a stable word when it came to them. They broke up, they reconciled, they fought, they promised to change. And then the cycle would start all over again. Those who knew Liese saw the pattern forming early. Deundrea struggled with substance use and an unstable living situation. According to family members, he moved from place to place, often staying wherever he could when relationships or arguments pushed him out. Liese followed him through that instability, sometimes leaving behind her own sense of security to stay close to him. At one point, the couple was homeless, living in a tent near a campground. Liese's former boss would later recall how she initially tried to hide the truth, offering vague explanations before finally admitting that she was being hit, that her boyfriend was abusing her. At work, the signs became impossible to ignore. Liese would come in with black eyes, bruises on her arms, marks that looked like someone had grabbed her too tightly. At first, she made excuses. She said her dog had jumped on her. She laughed it off. But the injuries kept coming, and eventually, the excuses stopped. One day, her boss witnessed the violence firsthand. Security cameras outside the building captured Deundrea striking Liese while they were sitting in a car. She came back inside with her face red, shaken, trying to act like nothing had happened. When asked if she wanted the police called, she refused. She didn't want to make things worse. She still believed it could stop. It didn't. In July 2021, Liese ended up in the hospital with a broken nose and 2 black eyes. On another occasion, witnesses saw the couple arguing in public, Deundrea hitting himself in the face afterward as if punishing himself for losing control. In September 2021, Liese texted her boss something that finally stripped away any doubt. "My boyfriend beat me again," she wrote. "He's threatened to harm us." She asked for help finding a safe place to stay. She knew she was in danger. But even then, the relationship didn't end for good. By early 2022, Liese and Deundrea were living together again in an apartment in Alton. And by June, Liese was 8 months pregnant. Deundrea was believed to be the baby's father. To the outside world, it looked like maybe things had settled down. They hadn't. The violence didn't stop. It just went quieter. In the days leading up to June 8, 2022, both Liese and Deundrea were unraveling. Deundrea's mental state was deteriorating fast. In messages sent to friends just days before the murder, he described feeling overwhelmed by emotions he had buried for years. He wrote that his cup was full and that he didn't know how to release his feelings without snapping or crying. He talked about pressure, about anger, about being pushed too far. Liese, meanwhile, was exhausted. She was heavily pregnant, emotionally drained, and still trying to hold everything together. On June 7th, Deundrea disappeared. He didn't come home. He didn't answer his phone. When Liese got off work and returned to the apartment, he was gone. She panicked. At around 9 p.m., she texted her mother, Heidi, asking a question that revealed how fragile she felt. "You think he'd just leave like this?" She worried that he had taken clothes with him, that he had left on purpose, that she had been abandoned. Heidi tried to calm her, suggesting that maybe this was a blessing, an end without violence. Liese didn't feel relieved. She felt broken. As the messages continued, the emotional weight became heavier. Liese admitted that earlier that day, she had cut her leg with a razor, telling Deundrea she was going to kill herself. When her mother asked why, Liese replied simply, "I just can't get it right." It wasn't manipulation. It was despair. Liese was spiraling under the pressure of an abusive relationship, impending motherhood, and the fear of being alone. Deundrea was spiraling too, angry, unstable, emotionally flooded, and unable to cope.
Even being mom, like, if you knew where he's at, would you tell me?
I would. Like, if I knew what was going on, I would tell you, but from last night of him doing the disappearing act to what's going on now, I have no clue, like, what has transpired.
Are you afraid of him?
Yeah, I have an order of protection on him.
What prompted you to get there?
He was staying with me for a couple of days, and he was becoming frightening, like he was going to do something, so I was like, you gotta go. And so when he left, he called my daughter back and was like, I love you guys, and go back to work.
Late that night, Liese couldn't sleep. At 1:39 a.m., she took her car and drove around for half an hour, trying to calm herself down. By morning, Deundrea still hadn't returned. At 7:06 a.m. on June 8th, Liese texted her mother again. Still no. She went about her day anyway, washing clothes, preparing for work, trying to force normalcy onto a situation that felt anything but normal. She reached out to Deundrea's family, asking if they had seen him. She contacted the landlord, asking him to check the security cameras. She was desperate for answers. Then that evening, just after 8 p.m., Liese received a message from Deundrea's uncle. He said Deundrea was with him and that he was bringing him home. Everything was fine. Against her mother's advice, Liese went to pick him up. At 9:11 p.m., CCTV captured Liese and Deundrea returning to the apartment together. That was the last time Liese Dodd was ever seen alive. By 10:49 p.m., her mother texted, "You okay?" There was no reply, and as the night continued, both of their emotional collapses collided inside that apartment, setting the stage for a tragedy that now felt impossible to stop. From that moment on, the timeline goes silent. Directly beneath Liese's apartment lived neighbors who were painfully familiar with the sounds of arguments. Liese and Deundrea fought often, loudly. Other residents had called the police before. So when the downstairs neighbors returned home that night around 9:30 p.m., they immediately noticed something was off. The front door to Liese's apartment was slightly open. That was unusual. Not long after, they heard muffled yelling, not screaming, not yet. It sounded restrained, like someone trying not to be heard. The neighbors exchanged glances but waited, hoping it would calm down like it had before. It didn't. The voices grew louder. The apartment began to shake. Heavy movements above them sent vibrations through the ceiling. Then came the sounds that made their blood run cold. A series of loud, rhythmic impacts. Not chaotic, not random, steady, repeated. Each one followed by a brief pause. Then another, 5 or 6 in total. Each impact louder than the last. One neighbor later described it as sounding like chopping wood, the kind of sound that requires strength, effort, and repetition. At the same time, screaming escalated, then abruptly stopped. And then nothing, no voices, no movement, No sound at all. The sudden silence was worse than the noise. A few minutes later, they heard someone walk outside, then come back in. Lights upstairs turned on and off. The neighbors were too scared to look. They texted the landlord, explaining what they had heard and how frightened they were. The landlord tried calling Liese. She didn't answer. By the time the neighbors considered calling police, everything had already gone quiet. Whatever had happened upstairs was over. They didn't know it then, but they had just witnessed the final moments of Liese Dodd's life.
Last night it was different. It was like we got home from picking me up from work. I got home from work around 9:30-ish, and their front door was cracked, which is unusual. They don't.
9:30 p.m. last night? Okay.
They don't usually leave their front door cracked, and it was, and that was a little weird. And I heard like muffled yelling, like not screaming, but yelling in a way, kind of like in pain, like you just like snipped your finger with a scissor and you had to put some over your mouth so you wouldn't scream too loud. That's what it sounded like.
So you say it sounded like muffled screaming?
Kind of, but it wasn't too loud.
Okay.
And then later on, we heard like the apartment shakes a little bit whenever you move too much, and it started shaking. And we're like, okay, they must be fighting or something. And we were gonna wait to see if it got better, or like if it didn't, because we were just gonna go sit outside and wait it out.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to deal with it. And so whenever that was happening, the apartment was shaking, they were fighting about something, and then all of a sudden the screaming got really, really loud and really intense. And that was, I would say, probably about 9:45, 9:50. And then the apartment had like 5 or 6 loud like thuds, and they got louder and louder each time.
Okay.
And they shook the apartment as well. And that sounded more like it was coming from.
So like, what did it sound like experienced in life, to your best ability, that would have created, or possibly created the sound that you heard?
Probably, I really don't know other than like chopping wood.
Okay.
Because that's what it felt like he had enough, I don't mean to say he, but like, you know, that's what it sounded like there was enough time to do, was like, it was very constant beats too. Okay. So that's what made me think it sounded like that.
So do you think it sounded like an instrument hitting something, or do you think, or what, something is making you, kind of envision that through sound, you know what I mean? Like, if we hear something and our brain is gonna take that information in, right? What we're hearing, smelling, feeling, and we're gonna kind of like paint this mental picture, right?
Right.
So, what about that sound makes you think chopping wood?
It was more of how steady it was.
Okay.
Because when you chop wood, you know, you gotta lift it up, you gotta hold it, and then you gotta put all your weight into it, and all your muscle.
Yeah.
And when you do it, you go.
And you kind of got a rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it had like 4 or 5, 6 of those beats, and then it just stopped. The screaming stopped, the sound stopped, the shaking stopped, everything stopped.
That chopping sound, something the neighbors couldn't bring themselves to consider, was the sound of Liese's head being cut off.
At that point, we heard somebody walk outside, but we weren't able to see because we just glanced down the window, and from the window that the awning is right there, so we can't see down on the patio deck area, and so we couldn't see who it was, but they were out there for about 2 minutes, and then they came back in, and they came upstairs, but I was too scared to see who it was.
And then what?
We went outside to see if so my best friend came over, and because I was like, hey, something's going on, I'm not feeling so right about this. And she was like, I'll come stay outside with you. So we were standing out waiting for one of them to come downstairs, because usually after they fight, one of them comes downstairs.
Okay.
Neither one of them did, but the lights upstairs in their apartment kept turning on and off.
Okay.
So we knew somebody was up there. We assumed it was Liese.
Okay.
But we didn't see either one of them.
At 11:57 p.m., security cameras captured Deundrea Holloway leaving the apartment. He's alone. He's changed his clothes. He's wearing dark shoes and a face covering. In his hands is a white laundry basket, held carefully, the same one seen earlier that night. He walks to Liese's car and pauses. He doesn't get in. It appears he doesn't have the keys. Instead, he goes back inside. A few minutes later, he comes out again, still carrying the laundry basket. This time, he walks toward a nearby smoke shop. Behind it sits a dumpster. At 12:01 a.m. on June 9th, another camera captures the moment the laundry basket is thrown inside. Along with it go clothes. What's inside the basket will not be discovered until morning. Over the next 2 hours, Deundrea removes more evidence. At some point, Liese's car disappears from the parking lot. By 2:30 a.m., Deundrea arrives at his mother's house, banging on the door, pacing nervously once inside. Family members later describe him as frantic, unstable. He cuts off his dreadlocks. He throws away clothes. He showers. He asks for new clothing. He carries Liese's belongings, her ID, debit card, and keys, with no explanation. By the time the sun rises, Liese is already gone, and Deundrea Holloway has begun running. Not from the police yet, but from the truth. By the early morning hours of June 9th, Deundrea Holloway's behavior begins to tell a story he never openly admits. After arriving at his mother's house around 2:30 a.m., he doesn't sit down. He doesn't rest. Family members later say he paces constantly, walking back and forth through the house as if his body refuses to slow down.
But anyhow, he had gave me her ID in the debit. And I said, well, why you got her debit card?
Yeah.
And license, you know. And I said, now she out there driving, and then she thinks she got her license, and you got it. Then this morning, he gave me 2 keys. And I said, well, where you get these keys from? And he said he found them on the ground. But he didn't say where he found them on the ground. And I said, well, give it here. I said, then I can get in touch with her. And
you want to put that stuff in there?
I'm getting it back now?
This here?
Yeah.
Is that yours?
No, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get it to her.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll take care of it.
You sure now?
Yeah.
The keys too?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Did he tell you what those keys were for?
He just told me he found them.
What did he say to you when you asked him why he had that stuff? You didn't get an answer?
Just look like he's in a daze or something.
Deundrea doesn't have an answer as to why he'd have Liese's possessions. And at around midday, he leaves the house without any real word about where he's going.
He said, I'm going to cut some grass. And so she asked him, where was he going to cut grass? And he just said he's going to cut grass.
Okay. And he left on foot?
He left on foot.
Even when his mind is racing, he asks for a shower, then another. He changes clothes repeatedly. He throws items away. At some point, he cuts off his dreadlocks, a dramatic and irreversible change that immediately alarms his family. When asked why, his answers don't line up. He says he wants a fresh start. He says he was tired of them. He says nothing at all. What stands out most is what he has with him. Deundrea is carrying Liese's belongings, her identification card, her debit card, her keys. Items she never went anywhere without. Items no one else should have had. When family members ask where Liese is, his explanations shift. He says they argued. He says she kicked him out. He says she's fine. But he never calls her. He never checks on her. As the morning wears on, his agitation increases. He laughs at inappropriate moments. He avoids eye contact. He reacts defensively to simple questions. At one point, he leaves the house briefly, then returns, as if unsure where to go or what to do next. By the time police begin canvassing the area, word spreads quickly through the family that something is very wrong. They don't know yet what happened inside that apartment. but they know Deundrea is hiding something.
But what happened to 22-year-old Liese Dodd, who had just moved to this place in Alton, is beyond irreprehensible. It's abominable. It is completely terrible what happened to her. Deundrea Holloway, 22 years of age, who had an address from the Litchfield area and was from that general area, has been charged with her murder. Some of the things I'm about to share are terrible, so I caution you if you want to continue listening. What Deundrea Holloway, and it's probably the last time I'm going to use his name, and you will know whenever I'm referring to him. But what that monster was charged with today, about what she went through, can make some people just completely lost for words. That monster, that savage monster, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of intentional homicide of an unborn child, dismembering a human body, I'll say that again, dismembering a human body, offenses relating to motor vehicles, and concealment of a homicidal death. Now, I just mentioned some things that are public that I'll go into a little bit of detail on. Again, so I caution you. That monster and Liese has had an on and off dating relationship for about 2 years. She was pregnant. She was pregnant with an expected delivery date in late July. Before I forget to mention this, that monster is charged with 2 counts on each of those charges I just mentioned before. Those are relative to the theories of murder. She was savagely killed. She was decapitated. Decapitated by a freaking savage monster. Her unborn child was also killed as a result of this. So she was brutally murdered, as well as her unborn child. This daughter, this mother-to-be, and her family were in the planning stages of a baby shower that was supposed to be at the end of June. But instead, now the family is planning a funeral because of what a monster did. Irreprehensible. What a savage monster did to her. Her mother had to go through something that nobody should ever have to go through. First of all, no parent should ever have to bury their child. But her mother, not heard from her in a little bit, and wanted to go check on her to see if she was okay, and found her in a way that you can't imagine. We did have a lot of help in this case. We had a lot of help from some police departments that without hesitation dropped everything they were doing to help us look for a savage monster. We had great help that was offered from the Wood River Police Department, Madison County Sheriff's Office, But as our investigation led us toward the Litchfield area, without hesitation, the Litchfield Police Department, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, the Macoupin County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Gillespie Police Department helped us out with this. That monster was taken into custody by the Gillespie Police Department while we were investigating this, on the day we were investigating this, while Gillespie Police Department was investigating a theft. These are details I wish I would never have to share. But as I mentioned before, these are public because of the formal charges that have been issued. It is absolutely terrible what that monster did to her and her unborn child. I've had a direct conversation with the state's attorney, Tom Hain, and I absolutely believe what he said. And what he said was this: we offer our sympathy to the family of Liese Dodd for the profound loss they are suffering. We believe the evidence will show that the defendant's gruesome actions here killed both a young woman and a child she carried in her womb. In the eyes of the law, both these killings are equal, and he will now face justice for both. When I read it said he, insert monster. We have been in constant contact with the family and the mother. It's another reason why I come to you. We're asking that unless you intimately know the family, to try to avoid trying to make contact with them. I wanted to speak about some of the details on behalf of the family because they are asking for some privacy as they go through some terrible times. So whatever your method is, if prayer, thoughts, anything you want to extend, but I ask you to please continue. All victims of domestic violence, all victims of murder, including her, in your thoughts and prayers.
And his behavior is screaming what his words refuse to say. Later that afternoon, police locate Deundrea Holloway in Gillespie, Illinois, roughly 30 miles from where Liese lived. When officers approach him, his reaction is immediate and erratic. He doesn't comply calmly. He paces in circles. He laughs suddenly, then grows angry. He yells incoherently, alternating between agitation and exaggerated calm. Body camera footage captures the chaos of the moment. His hands shaking, his voice rising and falling, his emotions splintering in real time. At one point, he attempts to harm himself, slamming his head against the inside of the police vehicle. Officers intervene quickly, restraining him to prevent further injury. Even then, he continues talking rapidly, jumping between topics, unable or unwilling to focus. There is no confession. There is no explanation, just fragments. Police transport him to custody, where he is formally charged with first-degree murder and intentional homicide of an unborn child. The weight of the charges does nothing to stabilize him. Instead, his behavior grows more unpredictable, prompting concerns about his mental fitness.
You search him?
Yeah. Don't have a name.
That's okay. What's her name?
What'd I have? What's that?
What'd I have?
You have cannabis on you.
Oh, that's legal. Okay, exactly. Right.
Deundrea is restless with the officers.
Need some water or anything?
Yeah, I would like some water because, you know, you guys gotta...
Hey, you need some water?
Yeah.
Okay, please, get some water.
Is it okay if I walk around? Is it okay if I stand up and take a step, like a couple steps?
What you gonna do? Why you gotta do that? Pull your pants up or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Like I said,
You're fine.
He's doing his job. This man has done nothing but his job. I swear to you.
You need to sit back down in the chair, please.
Didn't you just say I could pace?
No, I didn't say you could pace. I thought you said you had to get the pants. If you could sit down in there, please. Thank you.
Do you mind if I pace? Is that illegal? I'm here. I'm handcuffed, ain't it?
We don't want that. We want you to sit down.
Exactly. I know you don't want that.
So if you could please sit down, guys.
I can't. I'm handcuffed.
Yeah, you can. You can sit down.
I literally can't do anything. I'm handcuffed.
You need to sit down.
Why are you guys scared of me for what?
I'm not scared. You need to sit down.
How? If I'm literally sitting here pacing handcuffed, I can't do shit. He searched me.
Okay, so what's your name? What they're going to do is...
I literally asked if I was being detained. That man said no. And then he proceeded to ask me the same question over and over and over. And I said the same thing. And again, he's just not having it because he's got an attitude problem with me. I got an attitude problem too. I know I got one. I got one. That's why I'm not sitting down.
But you know I can make you sit down, so I'm not.
Do it.
What did I just say?
Do it. Sit me down.
I said I could.
Do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Because you're scared. Exactly. I'm handcuffed.
Scared of what?
Do it.
You know, guy, we're not going to get into this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, don't you just being mean to me, though?
I'm not being mean to you.
I
said you're pacing back and forth, and you said, well, set me down. And I said I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Don't do that.
They just fucking did that. You come in here.
Don't do that.
Do something. That's what I'm saying. Do something. Do something. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Over the following weeks, Deundrea is evaluated multiple times. Doctors determine he is not fit to stand trial, citing severe mental instability. The legal process slows, stretching into months, then years. For Liese's family, the wait is excruciating. They are grieving a daughter, a sister, a mother who never got to meet her child. And now, justice itself feels delayed, paused by the very mind that destroyed their world. In 2024, nearly 2 years after Liese Dodd was killed, the case finally reaches its conclusion. Deundrea Holloway is ruled fit to proceed, and the court moves forward. Prosecutors lay out the evidence. The CCTV footage, the timeline, the witness testimony, the items found in the dumpster, and the behavior that followed the murder. There is no jury trial. Deundrea pleads guilty but mentally ill. The judge accepts the plea. He is sentenced to 75 years in prison, 45 years for first-degree murder, and 30 years for the intentional killing of an unborn child, to be served consecutively. The sentence ensures he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. In court, officials speak carefully, acknowledging Deundrea's mental illness, while making one thing clear. It does not excuse what he did. Liese's family delivers statements through tears. They speak of her kindness, her laughter, her love for animals, her excitement about becoming a mother. They speak of the future she was planning, a future stolen in one night of violence. No one speaks for the baby. The court adjourns quietly. There are no cheers, no relief, only a heavy stillness, the kind that follows a truth that can never be undone. Some questions remain unanswered. Where exactly is Liese's missing head? What were Deundrea's final thoughts that night? Could intervention have saved her? But one truth is undeniable. Liese Dodd was not just a victim of crime. She was a woman trapped in a cycle of abuse that ended in unimaginable violence. And her story now stands as a warning and a remembrance. When the courtroom doors finally closed, Liese Dodd's story did not end there. Her mother, Heidi, would later speak with quiet urgency, not with anger, but with purpose. She said the hardest truth she learned was this: warnings should never be ignored. Threats are not just words. Patterns are not coincidences. Love does not look like fear, bruises, apologies, and promises that never last. She told other parents, other daughters, other partners to trust what they see, not what they hope will change. If someone shows you who they are in moments of rage, believe them. If violence enters a relationship once, it does not disappear on its own. It grows. It waits. And sometimes it explodes. Liese's case also forces an uncomfortable conversation about mental illness. The court acknowledged Deundrea Holloway's instability, but it did not excuse his actions. Mental illness can explain behavior, but it does not erase responsibility. Liese did not deserve what happened to her. Her baby did not deserve it. Accountability still matters, especially when lives are taken. What makes this loss even heavier is who Liese was beneath the headlines. She was kind. She was gentle. She loved animals. She gave too much of herself to people she believed she could save. And she dreamed about the future, about becoming a mother, about doing better than what life had given her. Liese once wrote a poem about wanting peace, about searching for light during dark moments, about believing that tomorrow could still be better than today. The words weren't dramatic. They were hopeful, quietly brave, like her. And maybe that's where her story leaves us, not with the violence that ended her life, but with the voice she left behind. If you or someone you love is living in fear, please hear this. Help exists. You are not weak for asking. You are not overreacting. And you are not alone. Let Liese's story be more than tragedy. Let it be a reason to speak up, a reason to leave, a reason to listen before silence becomes permanent. Rest in peace, Liese.